This has happened so many times in the last couple of weeks that I have coached my one-on-one clients and also members of High Performance Executive Accelerator cohort members through this, that I wanted to share it with my greater community. And it's all about how to be influential from a speaking panel, or when you're on a speaking panel, especially when one or more of the other panel members is speaking way too much. So these are going to be 4 strategies for anyone really who is tired of not being heard and wants to have a bigger voice from the stage. Even though you have prepared and you showed up and you're ready to share impactful and valuable information with the audience, sometimes other panel mates think that they're on a podcast, they're on their own podcast, and that they just keep talking. And so many times, though, they may or may not be aware that they're sabotaging a panel. But either way, there's 4 strategies to take back control of a panel and make sure that you have the most impact and the biggest voice that you can, so you can share the most value with the audience and also gain the most visibility. So many times mixed gender panels are especially challenging because there is a trend, or what the research tells us is that men tend to have more airtime than women. And that's because they take it, like I said, a lot of times either the moderator is not doing his or her job, and many times that the other panel members don't even realize that they are talking too much. But it is very important that you take back control, again, so you can have the impact and the voice and the visibility that you want and deserve. So here's the first one. These 4 things should help with your next panel. Set the rules first. You should have a planning call with all of the panel members as well as the moderator. The timing rules should be brought up. In other words, what are the questions? How long do people have to speak? And also the moderator should let all of the panel members know what's going to happen if somebody runs over. If the moderator does not bring that up, then it's important that you bring it up and say, how are we going to handle timing so we're all aligned? So make sure that that's covered in a planning call. If there's no planning call scheduled, make sure to get one on the calendar. And also, worst case scenario, you can do it right before the event. Even if you did have a planning call, be sure to touch base again with the moderator prior to going on stage and reiterating these and making sure that these rules and guidelines are clear. The second one is own the stage before you get on it. So in other words, I'm talking about either the night before or the morning before. If there's any way that you can get on the stage, in other words, there's any way that you can touch your chair, if you can touch the stage, be on the stage, touch some of the chairs. There's a very tactile way of creating ownership, because you want to get in the mindset that other people are entering your space for the panel discussion. It will be important to have that mindset going into it, because it will give you the confidence and the courage to do a couple of the other things that I'm going to share with you. So own the stage before you get there, if possible, the evening before, the morning of, or sometimes before the event. If that's absolutely not possible, just get there as early as you can and do what you can. Touch the chairs walking in, just get in the mindset of ownership of the stage and of the room, and think about people entering your space. So also, less is more. So chances are somebody who's running over and talking for 4 minutes on a question is not going to say more, and he or she is probably going to lose someone. It'll probably be less impactful than someone who's going to speak in a couple very succinct sentences. So when you are preparing, leave a lot of the words on the editing room floor. In other words, there's going to be no unnecessary words. No words like, oh, that's a great question, or, thank you for asking, or any of that. Think about how can you pare it down to give the biggest punch. It will be the most memorable, and also the audience will appreciate it, and it will land better. So less is more. That should be part of your preparation. And then also have a backup plan. It's possible that the moderator will get completely steamrolled. In other words, someone might be completely not listening to the rules at all. And so you may not be able to get many words in. And if that does happen, be sure to have a backup plan. That could be a white paper, or that could be a report. And you could let people know before you get off the stage that you have something available. You've studied extensively on this. If it's valuable or helpful, to find you after, or put a link in the conference app or what have you, because your impact on that stage does not end in 60 minutes. So have that backup plan, and or be ready to interrupt. Keep in mind that even the most chatty people have to breathe eventually, and that is your chance. You want to jump in. If this is going on past 1 or 2 questions and the moderator is unable to control the panel, then it's going to be on you to potentially interrupt to get a word in edgewise. And the way that you're going to do that is wait till they take a breath, especially if they're talking a lot. They're going to take a big breath, and then you're going to insert right there and say, I have something to add to that. And then jump in and add it. And again, add it succinctly and with a big punch. And so I hope that those 4 things are really helpful in your preparation for your next panel. Again, this really lies in the hands of the moderator, but that is out of your control. Not all the time are moderators very experienced or comfortable doing a really good job and doing what they're supposed to do. And many times the moderators are just, an afterthought. And so it's really important to be prepared. Do these 4 things. Your voice matters. It needs to be heard. And let's make sure that in the next panel conversation that you have the impact and the voice that you want and deserve. I am cheering you on always. If I can support you or your team in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out. Reach out to me, and here's to you hitting it out in the park for your next panel.